I'm gonna speak about software-defined storage at petabyte scale level. But before I start, let's have some definition so we are sure we speak the same language. I guess you are already familiar with Lustre and GPFS, two file systems which are used for high performance computing in the HPC market. So parallel file system, they have special features which allow to execute a high performance job. And then we have those two concepts, the scratch and the home in the HPC. The scratch is being the storage used for the computing part, and the home is like the home directory of a researcher. It's where is stored the result of the computing. Okay, so the home can be very big, several petabytes. Usually we want to keep the home for several years. And this is the input and the output of the scratch. Okay, so why are we able to achieve high performance with a Lustre and a GPFS storage system? It's because mainly those are parallel file system, okay? So once the computing node are contacting the metadata server of a scratch storage, once they have this information, they will connect directly with the Lustre storage servers, and therefore there is no overhead like in a traditional NAS environment where everything has to go through the NAS head. So speeds matter in Lustre in terms of Lustre and GPFS. Usually we will use very fast disk, and we can achieve exceptional performance. We have here behind us cluster store system which are able to and we're able to achieve like 63 gigabytes per second on those system per rack, or 100 megabytes per second per spindle on those system. So system dedicated for high performance. We all know that data is booming, data is exploding, and data is becoming more and more active. So this is a traditional evolution of your data capacity over time, and traditionally, over the time, even though the data is exploding, the access is less and less, and therefore those three categories of data are being created, and the data which is taking most of the volume and is non-frequently accessed is being stored on tapes, for example, on cold data. However, this model is changing because people want to make more and more use of the data over the time, and there are times where we want to wake up this cold storage. We want to turn archive into a profit center. So why can't I use, and this is one of the key slides here, why can't I use my Lustre and my GPFS to store this active archive information? Well, because my scratch, which I was referring to before, which is, for example, a Lustre storage or GPFS storage, has a dedicated metadata server. And this is limiting my scaling. As we said, the home over the time can be significant in terms of petabyte and even exabyte, and the metadata server is somehow limiting this expansion. The metadata server creates also a complex setup and impact performance at large scale. So one of the key elements here is that for a scratch, for a Lustre or GPFS, performance is king, but for an active archive, this is not the performance we are looking for. This is more reliability. I want to keep the result of my research for years. And if you prefer, another parallel between the scratch and the home is that the scratch is like a Ferrari, I do not want to use a Ferrari in order to store petabytes of information. I want to use a big track which is constituted by the home. So what is software-defined storage? Now we speak a little bit about Scality. So Scality use industry standard x86 servers, Linux servers like the Xaratec Stratostore, for example, in order to build a distributed storage cluster which can grow unlimitedly, without limit. When you want to add capacity in this model, you just plug in a new server, and those servers are just connected to your rack using a standard Ethernet switch. There is no metadata server here. Instead, each of those servers is going to have one SSD, so maybe 1 or 2% of the volume, and the metadata layers is going to run everywhere. It's going to be spread everywhere. Hence, the system can really scale. It doesn't have the limit of a traditional Lustre or GPFS. We have built-in data protection layer, replication, and erasure coding, which allow to protect your data at scale. We have self-healing mechanisms, so when one element is failing, the system will rebuild itself automatically, and because we do not use RAID, but we use a more advanced data protection mechanism, which is named erasure coding, data can be rebuilt quite faster than a standard RAID. We have run several performance tests, and we rebuild 4 terabytes in something like an hour. We have a management tool, and on the top of those layers are what we call the connector, which allow to access your data. So we have file system interfaces, NFS, CIFS, but also object interface, so HTTP REST interfaces, which allow to store and retrieve information very efficiently. We even have an object interface which allow you to store tier 2 and tier 3 VM storage. So the idea here is to use standard server, standard disk, no metadata centralized server, in order to build a petabyte scale, a massive amount of storage. And the key here is not performance, the key here is reliability. You want to keep this data for years. You want to build a secondary storage for your computing cluster. So you keep your Lustre and your GPFS on one hand, and the result of your research is being kept for years as a secondary active archive. So this is not a tail storage, which you have to wake up when you want to perform to analyze again your data. Here the data is active. So why is Scality good for secondary storage? This is a picture of the Scality ring, which is the name of our product. This is a logical view of those servers, which again they are commodity servers. Because we have protection layer, your system is reliable. We have customers like Telenet in production for 4 years. The system never stops, even when they add capacity, even when they had component failures, even when they migrated part of their architecture to another model. The system is an always-on type of system. There is no single point of failure. There is no database routing information. Everything is spread across the server, and each server is similar to the other. Each of those servers use cloud disk. So those are like high density 6 terabyte drive, cheap drives. So the idea again is not like in a Lustre cluster to use very fast and expensive drive, or to use expensive CPU like in the metadata server of a Lustre or GPFS. Here we are speaking about commodity servers to be able to build a multi-petabyte scale storage pool with a minimum amount of money. And because we have so many interfaces to access this data and to store this data, file system, object interface, and even VM interface, we can cover many workflows. You don't have to create silos of information. You can have one unique volume with petabytes of information. So how do I interconnect my computing storage, my Lustre or GPFS to a Scality secondary storage? Well, I can use a data mover. So if this is my Scratch and here is Scality, my secondary active archive storage, I can use a data mover in order to automatically migrate the data from my Scratch to my home. But the good news is that with Lustre 2.5, there is an integrated data mover into Lustre, which allows me directly, without using a third-party software, so which is much better for the TCO model, to store information from my Scratch cluster to my secondary storage, even at the object level, using an HTTP REST interface. So a very efficient way, very cost-effective way, because it's included into Lustre 2.5 to archive reliably petabytes of information that is coming out of your computing cluster. So real-life example, Los Alamos National Laboratory. They have a GPFS computing cluster, and they offload the result of those research as well as the input of this research into Scality. This is a half exabyte project, so a huge amount of information, and obviously it's not efficient to store that amount of information into a GPFS or Lustre cluster. This is those systems are not aimed for this type of archiving. They are more focused toward performance rather than reliability. That concludes my presentation. Any question? So thank you very much.